Hello, everybody. It's another Thursday, and you're here watching All Things Rex Worldwide. And my guest today is a very special guest. Let me tell you about her. Her name is Cosette Leary. I just lost my document. I'll tell you, anything that can go wrong will go wrong in a live broadcast. So I'm going to open the document back up. I don't know what's going on here. And hopefully it's the right document. What the heck? Where did everything go? It's just completely gone. All right, we'll try a different document. I cannot tell you how the universe offers all sorts of strange things happening. Cosette, CoCo Leary, is a motivational transformational speaker. She's a public figure, a mentor, an author, and an advocate. Now, she loves to live out loud. She's a jubilant transformational speaker, a professional woman's empowerment coach, an author, and an educator who's overcome childhood of poverty, abuse, growing up in an orphanage, group homes, and foster homes since the tender age of 12, and then finding herself pregnant with her first child at 14 years old. Now, she's raised 4 children through hard work and painful decisions and has gone through years of surviving off welfare benefits to earning her university degree in public administration, graduating with the highest honor of Summa Cum Laude, while serving as a staff member in both the Senatorial and Congressional offices. Now, Ms. Leary has pulled herself out of poverty in order to show others how to do the same, and we're going to talk to her about that coming up right now. So I want you to help me welcome Cosette Leary. Here she comes. Cosette, hi. Wow, hold on. We'll get you unmuted here.
All right. Hey, Rex, how you doing?
We're good. Rex is trying to think on his feet. Not always the easiest thing to do, but how are you today?
I am doing fabulous. Great to be here with you, my friend.
Great to have you here. You know, you are someone who I have admired both from afar and near up because we've gotten to know each other over the past year or two. And I'm so glad that you could be on the show.
Delighted to be on the show. I respect you so much, Rex. What you know, we've had phone conversations and I've shared with you how much I love your absolute authenticity and not just as a buzzword, but from sincerity. You know how I feel. I've told you before, you know, you're one of the true people out there. And that's a rarity. So, you know, you're a platinum gem, my friend.
Wow. Well, I'm both honored and humbled. So thank you kindly for those wonderful words. And you know what? I got to add that right back to you because, you know, it is one of the, there are people in the world who have overcome a lot. And some of them are okay people. Some of them are great people. And some of them are, you know, still kind of, you know, trying to figure themselves out. You are one of those great people. You're one of those people who walk your talk and it's not just that you walk your talk, but it's that you, because of you and who you are and your background, your desire to help other people and to uplift them and lift them out of where they're at is really kind of, how did we end up with that? We have a picture of Brian Tracy. Do that, so I don't know how that happened. There we go. This show is filled with bugs today.
Hey,
like little
iconic. Okay.
You know, this is one of those remarkable, like, universal shows of wow, we're gonna have some fun here.
That's right.
So we've got a number of viewers. By the way, if you want, and I want to tell the viewers this right away, leave comments. And hit the like buttons, and wherever you are, share the show. Let other people know that Cosette, CoCo Leary is here, and the viewers are growing. So if you have comments, I'm gonna move so that you know, I was gonna say so I can see the comments, but I can never see them anyway until they show up on the screen. But while we're here, real quick, if I can get Cosette's banner on the bottom so we know what her website is. So Cosette, let's just start it. Enough of this banter, and more people are joining us. So please be sure to hit like. Please leave questions and comments for Cosette. If you have a question for her, I'm sure she'll be happy. And viewers are coming in. You have got a lot of fans. You have got a lot of fans. So awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So 12 years old.
God,
Start at the beginning.
12 years old. Okay, so yeah, we're talking 1985. Child abuse had not come to the forefront in our country. I was living through it like so many young people back then, and didn't really know where to go, who to tell. My mother and her husband were my hellhounds. That's what I call them. I'm working on my autobiography, and that's what I call them in the autobiography. But they was my biological mother and her husband, and I grew up in an occult religion with them, and physical, mental, and emotional abuse was a daily regimen. In 1985, my biological father passed away, and he was very dear to my heart. He and my mother divorced when I was 7 years old. And through his passing away, I realized that the lifeline that I always felt, that if things just got too bad, I could somehow run to my dad. Well, I couldn't do that anymore. And so I realized that I was going to have to convince the police, fire departments, that please save my life. They're going to kill me in this house if you don't. And one night I got one of those horrible beatings, but on the crazy side, I was actually glad. And I know that sounds very twisted, but I had actual real proof to show now, current wounds and whatnot. And so I ran away that night in the middle of the night and was able to reach or make contact with a police officer. And the police officer asked me, who had done this. And I told him, and they transported me to UCD Medical Center. And that's where the beginning of me being free from that trap and perhaps thrown into an unfamiliar one, because I became a ward of the court at 12 years old. I no longer feared being beat to death in a home, but I was out in a world that I knew nothing about. I had been extremely sheltered through our religion, and I did not know how society worked outside, but I had a respect for society, that they were my lifeline, and that this big old thing called the world had saved my life somehow. So from 12 years old, I lived in a receiving home, went straight to a receiving home from the hospital, went to the orphanage, the Sacramento Children's Home, went from the orphanage to a group home, went from the group home to my very first foster home. By now, I am 13 and a half years old. I start dating someone, and months later, find myself 14 and pregnant. 14 and pregnant and a ward of the court. This presented a problem to the Sacramento County, CPS, whoever dealt with me, wherever my social workers came from. The problem was, number one, I was only 14. Number two, which this is the one that was amplified so much, there were no county dollars to pay room and board for this child once I gave birth to her. And so that was a constant battle for several months early on in my pregnancy between me and the county, of me keeping the baby and them saying no. So to make an extremely long story short with that, when I got old enough, at 16, I got my first job, because I gave birth to my baby by the time I turned 15. By the time I was 16, I was working at McClellan Air Force Base in Sacramento, California, in their child care department on base. And I was paying rent for my child because she was not awarded the court. So therefore, there was, again, no funding dollars for her. So within that situation, for me, I started thinking early on at 16, what am I going to do with my life, and how am I going to raise my child and provide a life for her that's going to be better than the one I had. I went on to get emancipated at 16. and went on to continue to raise my daughter. However, we were in chronic poverty because even at 16, I had not graduated high school. I did not have a work history, and I just did not know norms, adulting norms. So we were given the welfare check, of course, and that started what I call an epic saga of poverty in my life. And so
let me
huh?
just ask you about that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want this to be political, but I mean, some people, if you give people money, then they'll just stay on welfare
Okay.
and they won't work. There's no incentive to work. Now, I
Yeah.
gotta say that in my life, I've known a number of people on welfare, and they all wanted to work. They didn't
Yeah.
necessarily want to be on welfare. I'm sure there's
Yes.
some abuses, but the bottom line is, so now you're getting assistance. How
Yeah.
did how did that make you feel? What?
Oh, at first I felt like Rockefeller. I mean, I'm 16. I'm getting free money. I can go to the mall. I can buy stuff, But the problem with that was I was getting older, and so was my daughter. And that money was getting smaller and smaller. At 16, I felt like 400 something dollars a month was like a ton of money. At 24, with more children, that welfare check, although it increased because I had more children, it capped out at $742 a month. Now I'm older. I have 4 children by then, and we're a family of 5 living off of $742 a month. No, I don't like this. I can't even do anything for my family with this. And I'm tired of looking at my kids have nothing. Back to school shopping, please don't bring that up. Holidays, please don't talk about that to me. So I wanted to find a way to get out of this poverty. Street level bureaucracy was not agreeing with me. When I would go and express that I wanted to acquire higher education, because every social worker I had, every welfare eligibility caseworker I had a degree. I knew they had a degree. They had a degree and they had a livable wage job. I wanted that. But what I would get told was, well, that's a great goal to have, but we want to deal with right now, because what you're talking about takes at least 4 years of education, and we want to get you a job right now. You do. Where do you want to get me a job at? Well, we can get you in retail. We can get you in, nursing home, a daycare. Yeah, you can get me in places that pretty much are barely going to pay any more than my welfare check. I want to be able to take care of my family. This became an ongoing battle, but my aspirations were huge. My determination was undenying. Okay. I would not stop. So years went by. My children got much older, and we were still living in poverty because I was trying to find an outlet, a way to get out of this. And everywhere I went, it was just survival based programs. I didn't want to just survive, Rex.
Do you think that I mean, in some ways it's designed to help, but at the same time it's designed to keep?
Yeah, it's designed to keep more than help. I can tell you that. I've studied that in university. I've lived it. I've even sat in training sessions with nonprofit organizations who were cracking staff members. I remember one time I went to a particular training, and I was there as a local government person. And the table that I was sitting at, the caseworkers, they were laughing at it, and they made a comment. They said, could you imagine if we got everybody off of welfare? Where would we be? And I know we'd be the new ones on welfare. And unbeknownst to them, the local official type of person that I was sitting at their table, that they were so honored to have me there, I was a recipient of the benefits that they were taught. So they turned to me with their laughter and they're like, oh my goodness. No, we really don't mean it, But what is your take on that, Cosette? And I looked at them and I said, as a matter of fact, I'm still receiving food stamps and state medical right now while I'm in my internship and why I'm going to school. They looked like they had saw 3 Grim Reapers.
Well, let me ask you this, and I should say, just as a kind of public service announcement, that opinions expressed are not those of the Los Angeles Tribune.
Absolutely.
They may or may not be my opinions, and they may reflect the guest opinions. But that's but I will ask a question that obviously I think a lot about. But I'm for welfare. I think people need help.
Absolutely.
But I think that to keep people just at the survival level and not help them to thrive enough to be able to do some of these other things, because people will say, well, they're not going to work if they get $600 a month. I mean, I don't know anybody who can live on $600 a month, and especially in this day and age, especially now. But I mean, and it goes back to my thing of I don't know anybody who just wants to collect I mean, there may be those abuses, but I don't know anyone. I've met one person in my entire life who said, yeah, I'll just game the system. But everybody else has gone, if I could get a job, if I could provide for my family, so the way out is we need to not have a minimum, like I get, okay, you can't buy frivolous items with your food stamps and all that. I mean, I get how they're trying to control it, make sure that it goes to the proper, being used properly. But again, if it's just the bare necessities and just the bare minimum to get by on, people can't get out of where they're at. If they're so, how did you do it?
Exactly. I was about to say you can't, but I did.
Yeah.
So, like I was going to say, well, what happened for me was I got really sick and tired of that stuff. And I was extremely desperate to the point where I would do anything within legal means to be able to get me and my children out of poverty. And it so happened that I decided that I was going to start introducing myself to people in the world who had the things that I would like to have for myself. It started out with introducing myself to a CEO of a Fortune 500 multi-million-dollar company. And this particular woman took me under her wing. She educated me on how to get higher education. She taught me what a FAFSA form was. She told me about a Pell Grant. She educated me on a work study job and had me go to the community college and do all the paperwork. And I got my Pell Grant. I got my FAFSA paperwork done. I got everything. She encouraged me to take a public speaking class. She said I articulated so well. I said, what does articulate mean? I've never heard that word. And she explained to me what that word meant. I said, oh, so you mean I talk good? And she started laughing. She said, yes, you talk good. So I did everything she said. I took a public speaking class and I got a B. I was celebrating so hard and so heavy because I took the GED test 5 times before I passed it over the span of 2 years. On the 5th time, I passed the GED test. So wow. To see my first college level class and I receive a B on it, I couldn't celebrate any bigger. I told her what my grade was. She was tracking me. She wanted to see my transcript. And she said something to me that changed my whole perspective. She said, now run with it. And what was so incredible was that I knew that I had her in my corner with me and walking alongside of me. Therefore, I became very emboldened on what I would go after because I knew that even if I stumbled, I could turn to her and get her good counsel on how to move forward. So what did I do with that, right? I went on and I got my degree in public administration. And I did graduate summa cum laude. I went on and I served in a senatorial office. And later on in my career, I went on to serve at the Pinnacle, Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., in a congressional office in Rayburn Building on the Hill. I became an alumna of one of our nation's most prestigious think tanks, Brookings Institution. I went ahead and worked at Johns Hopkins University as a custodian at night so that I could go to school online during the day and serve on the Hill. I would take the MARC train out of Baltimore, Maryland, into Union Station in DC, get off the train, walk across the street to Capitol Hill. Let me tell you about that feeling. Oh my God, let me tell you about that feeling. When I would get off the MARC train and I'd walk across the street to Capitol Hill, I would look at every tree that I was passing. I would pay attention to every squirrel that was running around on the ground. I would look at other people walking past me. I would pay attention to the security staff that were walking around. And I felt incredible. I felt amazing. Oh my God, this is Capitol Hill, and I am a part of Capitol Hill, which in turn led me to write my first book, From Welfare to the White House, How I Reclaim Myself and You Can Too. Wow. Let me tell you, I'm going to say this early on in the show. For whoever is watching, no matter where you are in your life, and believe me, I done been homeless. I done been homeless and couldn't even find a place to go use the bathroom. I'd have to pee on myself because I wasn't a paying customer anywhere. The ammonia smell, the itching on my skin. I mean, all kind of things. I've raised children in poverty, and I'm not going to paint no perfect picture, okay? Because I don't do that to people. Poverty even eroded on some of my relationships with me and some of my children, okay? I'm going to be very transparent because I'm not afraid of my story. I'm not afraid to own my life. I am grateful for the narrative. So therefore, I will tell the truth. I will speak the truth. There are a couple of my children that don't speak to me to this day, but I still love them. And I made sure that the last thing they ever heard come out of my mouth was, I love you. Because whether or not they speak to me, whether or not weeks go by, months go by, years go by, nothing will ever change the fact that they are flesh of my flesh and blood of my blood and bone of my bone, and they will forever be my children, and I will forever be their mother. So I can own the fact that I love them near or far, but I know what poverty did and what it showed them and where their perspective comes from. But if there's anybody that is watching, and right now you may even think to yourself, I'm not even halfway where I should be by now in life. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know why I even keep trying. Let me tell you, as long as you keep trying, as long as you continue to learn what you're doing, because you may think you don't know what you're doing right now, but as long as you continue to learn what you're doing, as long as you don't give up, and as long as you own your wealth of who you are, your wealth and your worth of the person that you are, despite what society may say to you, despite what systems may tell you you have to do, take the time to listen to yourself deep inside, quiet the noise, and hear yourself, and then ask yourself 2 questions. Am I worth the work? And what else do I got to do that's better than going after my dreams? If you can say you are worth the work, and you know you ain't got nothing else better, because obviously you don't, because you're sitting up here questioning yourself anyway, keep going. Find the right support systems. Reach out to people. It takes courage. Yes, it takes courage. I'm not going to kid you. But aren't you worth the courage? You're the only you that you got. There's no other you on this planet. We got over 8 billion people on this planet. We got one you. There's only one me. I'm worth everything. So yes, I went from my childhood, I went from welfare benefits, I went on and got my education. I went ahead and got executive education. I went on and wrote my first book. I went on and got certified as a powerful women's coach. I went on to become a motivational, transformational speaker. I'm all these things. A good amount of the time, I was that alone. I won't kid you, because I was coming from direct poverty. People didn't see me as an asset to any round table. So a lot of times, even when I would be peddling my wares, saying what I wanted to do, what I aspired to do, a lot of people would look at my socioeconomic situation. I would look at it too. But I would look at it through the eyes of, I don't want to keep this socioeconomic situation. I want to find better. But in order for us to find better, I'm a huge advocate that we have to have a great support system. We've got to be willing to look at people and see them in their own skin and be willing to say, you know what? My story may not be exactly like yours, but I have a story and I can have sympathy and some level of empathy enough to tell you I see you. So there it is, Rex. That's the very short version. But it's all about believing in yourself to the point that you will go and introduce yourself to this world. I can't hear you, Rex.
I apparently have a habit today of talking while I'm muted. But at any rate, what I said was I wanted to ask you about that. What a powerful share! What an absolutely powerful story of transformation. But it started because you went to introduce yourself to somebody. You actually took the first steps. You went out, you put it out there, and somebody responded to you. And as a result, this person became a mentor to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, she did.
Now,
Absolutely, she
I mean,
did.
that's fantastic. That may not happen in all instances, but the
No.
point is, in order for you to go from welfare to the White House, to get out of your situation, you had to act. You weren't sitting there waiting for them to come to you. You weren't
No.
like sitting and, waving flags and going, me, 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 me. You put
No.
yourself out there. You went to introduce yourself. They saw something in you, or she saw something in you. She became the support system for you. And then you did everything that you needed to do to get to be where you wanted to be and to where you are today. A lot of people, I mean, think if I just sit in my room and wish for it, it's going to happen. And we know that that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But the other thing that was so cool was every time that you as you were talking, you said, I looked at the trees. You felt this gratitude. You were, you had powerful emotions and gratefulness for the accomplishments that you were making and the breakthroughs that you're making. And I think a lot of people really ought to embrace that idea. Be thankful for where you are, and then be thankful for each step along the way and for each accomplishment. If you set it up so that you start winning, then every step becomes a winning step. Then you're winning all along the way. And it may be a while, before you get to the cross that finish line, but at least you're moving in that direction. What a powerful story. I want to remind our viewers who are watching to go ahead and like this or love this. Also, go ahead, if this is meaningful to you, you find it, again, whether live or in replay, share it out there. Share it to your friends, to your groups, to your pages, wherever it is in social media, and go ahead and like it. And if you have questions or comments for CoCo, please go ahead. I know if you're on Facebook, the Tribune page, you can do that quite easily. You might be able to do it from other places as well. I'm not sure. There's some things in flux with the show. If you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn or other places, we may or may not be able to. Oh, well, there's somebody. Tom is watching on LinkedIn, and I was on Facebook. So very cool. That's good to know, because I never know where the stuff is coming from. We're at that point where we're going to take a short break for the Los Angeles Tribune, and then we're going to come back and continue this. And I'd like to, when we come back, I'd like to ask you to continue, because not only is your story, your personal story and personal transformation powerful and as an example for others, but I really like for you to help break it down for the viewers in terms of the kind of attitude, what you did in your head, your heart, to be able to take that kind of action so that they too can do as much.
Absolutely.
So we'll pause.
Hello and welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune. Since 1886, our name has been a part of the world of journalism. We have earned a reputation for being a publication that practices integrity, authenticity, and responsibility. For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
Awesome. And back with Cosette Leary. And so let's do this. Where can people get your book?
Yes, thank you, Rex. You can go to my website from welfaretothewhitehouse.com and you can download the book.
So from Welfare to the White House, which is scrolling beneath right now.
From welfaretothewhitehouse.com.
And they can download the book. Fantastic.
They sure can.
We'll keep that going. All right. So again, going back to your story of transformation, and well, what had to happen inside you for you to get to go talk to this person?
I had to see that I had got all the way to rock bottom. When I saw that the powers that be weren't going to listen to my ambitions, but they controlled the purse in my life, So if they weren't going to help me go to school, because that's what I wanted more than anything, I wanted to get an education, I realized that there was nothing. Couldn't go any further down that I could see. I can tell you the day. I can describe the day to you that it all began to come completely in crystal clear view. It was a day that I had came home from work, working in a daycare. And although I lived in my apartment, Rex, you would think that this was going to be the first time I ever saw the living conditions. I turned the key, opened the front door, walked into my apartment, and something overtook me. I don't even know, but I saw blankets and pillows all on the floor. We had 2 metal fold-out chairs and a little 19-inch black and white TV sitting on the carpet on the floor. And there were top ramen packages all around because my older children were latchkey children. And I just fell to my knees in the middle of the living room floor. And I just started screaming at God. And I was crying. And my kids heard me, so they come from running in the bedrooms from the back down the hall. And they were all cuddled all around me, and they were like, Mommy, what's wrong? I remember my oldest daughter was wiping the tears off my face. Mommy, what's wrong? And I looked, I kid you not, I looked at the faces of my kids. And I told them, I said, Mommy don't have nothing to give you. Oh, Lord. I said, I don't have nothing to give you. And I remember my oldest daughter, she was wiping the tears off my face. She said, Mommy, it's going to be all right. You always have a plan B. I heard her. You always have a plan B. Kids are so sweet, aren't they?
Indeed.
Living in them kind of conditions, thinking Mama got a plan B. But her words really hit me. You got a plan B. You got a plan B. And I thought to myself, I've got to come up with a plan B. And from that, I ended up writing that CEO, that letter. I guess that was my plan B. What made me change my course of thinking and kind of go out of the box, if you will, was I knew we had no lifeline. So I figured if other people were rich that I read about in magazines, I'll go to them. I'll write them letters. Because that's what I did with this particular woman. I wrote her a letter and she read it, and her executive secretary called me, and that's how that all began to cause that effect. I knew that if it wasn't going to come to me, I was going to have to go to it. I was going to have to go to people that already had life lessons, that already knew what it meant to be economically free, have financial freedom. My kids deserved it, and so did I. So I wrote letters.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this, because I know a lot of people, think in terms of, people focus on the negative or they focus on the positive. But sometimes you look at the situation and it's not what people would call a positive situation. But it is a positive situation in how you respond to it. In other words, you go, okay, enough of that. I'm going to do something different. And you then move to what you wanted to do, which in your case, you started to write letters.
Yeah.
This is powerful because I this morning actually shared something. I said I was having a problem. It compares in no way to what you're sharing. So I'm not trading stories with you. I'm just saying.
But everybody has a story, though, so it's okay.
Yeah, but this pales. I mean, just completely pales. It's not even significant. But what I'm trying to make a point using it, and that is, I had a situation that was difficult. It was frustrating. wasn't anything like yours, but it was frustrating. And I reached out to somebody who was very powerful, and I said, "Hey, I can't solve this the way it's going. Can you solve this for me? Can you put me in touch with a person who can help me solve this?" And he went, "Sure," and he did. And then that person put me in touch with the person who finally did everything. It surpassed all of my expectations. My point is that had I not asked this person who I knew had the power to change it, he could have said, "No, why should I do that? I don't get involved. No way, forget it." But he didn't. He said, "Oh yeah, let me here, talk to this person again." You, on the other hand, are living in poverty. You've got your children, all these needs, everything. Said, I need to do something to get out of here. And you wrote letters to people. And had you not done that, they wouldn't have the opportunity to respond. And that is my point. In other words, never be afraid to ask. The worst they could say is no. And certainly don't be afraid to act in a positive way, because your positive actions is what started everything rolling.
Yeah.
You could have gone, "Oh, screw it. This is over." Or you could say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get out of it. And that's what you did.
Yeah, it is. Because I wanted to know what it was like to live. I wanted to live before I died. I didn't want to always just be poor and destitute and never even knew what living was about. So I decided that I'll go to people that I see living. I remember when I was a little girl, I used to watch Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, Champagne Wishes, Caviar Dreams. I used to love to watch Robin Leach, because at least through that, for an hour, I could see beauty in life. And I'm grateful for that, because since I got a chance to see it when I was little like that from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, I knew that there was a world out there that was more than poverty. I wanted to go find it. And not only did I want to go find it, I wanted to help other people find it too. And I'm so happy to say that I do a lot of that now. I help a lot of people find it. And I love that more than anything. I help people look at themselves and really face their reality. You see, because we live in a world where everybody wants to impress everybody, don't we, Rex?
Oh, yeah.
And everybody is trying to come up with the best tagline, and everybody's trying to be innovative, and everybody's trying to be all this. But guess what? A vast majority of everybody is trying to be everything but themselves.
I'm gonna throw out something that people may agree or disagree, or it may be controversial or not. But prior to the internet, if you were going to be a speaker or a provider or an author, it cost a lot of money to direct mail. I mean, you had to direct mail, you had to print brochures or pamphlets or whatever. Even if you got a ream of paper copied for 4 cents a page or whatever it was, and then stuck it in an envelope, and let's say it cost 10 cents to mail and 4 cents to do the thing, and you had 100 sheets, so it's $4, and then multiply that, so it's at least $14 or whatever with the postage. You had to invest some money in order to do it. Now, we pay for our Wi-Fi, but you can pretty much put anything you want out on social media. You can represent yourself in whatever way. It's kind of become a cushy luxury for everybody to say, "Hey, I'm the hottest thing that's ever happened," and all that kind of stuff. but not to denigrate those people who do that, but to
No.
see that there are people like yourself who really put the effort, the energy, the time, and the investment in order to change the condition you lived in, and at a time when it wasn't so free. I mean, there was a different world at one time, and now you're here and you can utilize the internet. But the point is that again, you made your dreams come true. You were able to see the Robin Leach stuff and go, yeah. Some people look at it and go, well, I could never have that.
Mm.
And they think they'll never ever be able to get that far. And then there are other people who go, it's nothing. I could do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I do know.
So, and I'm huge on attitude, and you demonstrate that you have just, a very powerful can-do attitude. I mean, to graduate summa cum laude.
Yes. And now I'm getting ready to go after my master's and PhD in higher educational leadership and administration. I should have my PhD in about 4 years, I believe.
Wow.
And so, and I also want to go back to Brookings Institution and get my women's leadership certification through them. I've wanted that for years. It costs about, I think it's like, I want to say it's about $8,000. For a long time in my life, that was like $1 million. And I was always say, one day I'm going to be able to afford to go and get that. And I'm very happy to report to you, Rex, that I have carved out a life now that I'm putting seed money towards that.
That's awesome.
I'm grateful more than anything that dreams can truly come true. And I believe that if you're blessed enough that your dreams took place, and yes, you put in the hard work, because I put in a tremendous amount of work. I believe I've told you it took me 30 consecutive years before I became visible. I worked at it for 30 years, from the smallest little pebble all the way building up my mountain. And within 30 years, the world said, there's a girl named CoCo out there. And a lot of people ask me, how did you stay the course for 30 years?
How did you?
I knew there was nothing else. I already knew there was nothing else. So if this is what I got over here, I'm going to fight like hell to get something better over there. 4 weeks ago, I believe, what was it? Is it 4? It's been about 4 weeks now. 4 weeks ago, I was flown from Georgia, because I live in Georgia now. I was flown from Georgia back to my home state, Washington, the state of Washington, not DC. And I was flown out there to receive the Distinguished Alumni Award.
Wow.
Let me tell you something.
How cool.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And I got to give my acceptance speech, and the room went nuts. When I walked off the podium, the whole room, everyone stood to their feet. People were going, ruh, 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 and people were hitting their wine glasses with their forks and stuff. My girlfriend, a dear girlfriend of mine, asked me a couple of days before I flew out. She said, CoCo, how do you feel? You're getting ready to come back and you're getting ready to receive this award. And you know what I told her, Rex? I said, all hail the queen.
Well, you keep rocking it, because I've seen you talk. You are a powerful presenter. A powerful story. And when you combine your story with your ability to present, you are unstoppable, girl. I mean, you truly are.
Thank you, Rex. I appreciate that so much.
And while we're talking, I want to encourage people to get your book.
Yes, please do. You can download it at my website, and you can download it for free. It's a great read. It's what they call an hors d'oeuvre ebook. It was the first book that I ever wrote. I'm working on my autobiography now. It's called Laugh Out Loud, Healing the Woman Within. And what's in From Welfare to the White House, it's the actual story of what it felt like to be on welfare with dreams of the pinnacle of my nation. I was determined to get my butt up on that hill now, god dang it. I was determined because I knew that's where power was. And I know to do the things that I wanted to do in my life, I was going to need to know what it was like to have and feel power. Because I was going to have to take that, I was going to have to bottle that up and take that back to the inner cities where I come from and find other people like me and tell them, let me take you where I went. And that's what it is.
That's just so impressive. So for people watching right now, live or otherwise, because there's a significant number of people watching, they could go and get your book absolutely free, download.
Yes.
And not only that, but they could share that and the show with 1, 2, or 5 or 10 of their friends. I mean, they've got a free resource in your book.
Yeah.
They've got you on the show right now, talking and telling your story. And if people have people they want to help inspire or motivate or, say, look, there's hope that you may not realize. Here's Cosette, here's CoCo, listen to her story, watch her story.
Yeah.
And you could do the same and then share out your book, share out the show. I mean, you could,
absolutely download, tell your friends, your relatives, anybody to download it. A lot of people ask me, they say, CoCo, why do you give it away for free? Why you don't sell it? And you know what? The message is more important than the money. And that's the God honest truth. Like I said, I've known what it's been like to be homeless and would you believe I couldn't even get in shelters because I had a degree? When they would do the intake process and they would ask me their 7 to 9 bullet point questions, and they'd get to the question, what's your highest level of education? And I say, I have a bachelor's degree in public administration. Oh, you have resources. And I said, no, I don't. I can't get a job anywhere. I'm trying very hard. Oh, well, unfortunately, with that, you don't meet the demographic that we serve, One coordinator told me, she said, I'm so sorry, but you're the wrong kind of homeless. I said, I'm the wrong kind of homeless? She said, yes, you are, unfortunately.
So go ahead, keep going.
So the thing is, yes, I want money. We all want money. Money makes the world go round. But the thing about it is I'm more concerned with human capital. I'm more concerned with people who are crying like I used to. I'm more concerned with people who have more negative self-talk to themselves because that's all they heard growing up anyway. I'm more concerned with moms and dads and grandparents who are raising their grandchildren now and all. I'm more concerned with that because you know what? I watched an incredible spoken word poem years ago by a young African-American environmentalist guy. But his poem was great. His spoken word was great. But what he said at the end, I never forget it. He said, tell me what we gonna eat when money has taken away all the trees. What I'm saying is, I know it takes money to live, but I already know what it feels like to be the living dead. Wow. So I'm not going to sit up here and only be consumed by that. The message in my book is something against all odds. I was an orphan. I was a teen mom. I was left behind. I was impoverished. I was like Erykah Badu's song, Bag Lady, you gonna miss your bus. You better hurry up. You got too much stuff. I had so much baggage in my life. I was like, Somehow I still made it, yo. Somehow I'm not in poverty anymore now. So let me be the one to go back and pay it forward.
Wow. CoCo, in our remaining time, we've got, 6, 7, 8 minutes maybe. Do you have 3 or 4 or 5 suggestions or tips or advice you could give to our viewers? Because your story, I mean, you're doing it already, but if you had to do bullet points um, for them in terms of moving forward. And I ask that because what you said is so, you're not the right kind of homeless.
Mm-mm.
I mean, because of the upper and lower, the guidelines. I mean, there's people who fall through the cracks. So
Mm-hmm.
when somebody's in a situation like that where you can't get ahead because they can't allow you in, but you can't get out because you don't have the wherewithal to get out, and you don't qualify for this or for that. So there are going to be other people like you who are disenfranchised as you were
Mm-hmm.
disenfranchised.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What to do about it? I mean, keep the faith and do what? Because
Okay, I'll just tell you what I did because
yeah,
that's all I can go from my perspective. Don't be afraid to start over. What does CoCo mean by don't be afraid to start over? When I found myself like that, yeah, I had a degree in hand. Yeah, I graduated summa cum laude. Yeah, I did this, this, and this, and this, and this, so I'm still homeless. I had to go back and work the very difficult, impoverished type of culture jobs that I did before I ever had a degree. I went back to being a nurse's aide, which is a very physical job. You're taking care of people with their basic needs, and you're always low staffed. Oh my God, nursing homes are always low staffed, hospitals are always low staffed. So you're taking care, on average, I was taking care of anywhere from 27 to 35 people by myself every night. I knew it was a daunting task, but it gave me a paycheck, okay? It put food in my belly and allowed me to live in a rundown motel area, but it gave me a start again. So I lived in the motel, caught the bus to work every night. I worked at night because I was building my empire as an entrepreneur during the day in that motel room at that little white table with my cell phone, talking to people during the day, having, you know, Zoom meetings over the phone, listening to iHeartRadio when it was first coming out, talking to people about being on iHeartRadio, no one knowing that I'm working a hard job at night and living in a motel and all of those things. But I started where I was standing and I started over. I went back to something that could give me a paycheck. Wasn't the biggest paycheck, but it will do. And then I tapped into my biggest heart and I asked myself, what am I going to do to get out of all of this now? Like I said, it took 30 years consecutively. My kids were grown by then. I'm talking 2015, 16. Okay. Those were my homeless years. Graduated in 2014 with my degree. Don't be afraid to start over, whatever that takes. Even if you've got to start at the very bottom that you feel is the bottom of your life, go back and own it and grab it like it is true grit in your hands. And you say to yourself, this is where I'm at now, but it's not where I'm going to stay. But I'm going to use it for what it can do for me, and I'm going to keep climbing. Keep climbing. Keep climbing. Do whatever it takes to have a coffee meeting with someone. Do whatever it takes to write a letter to someone you read about in a magazine or a business journal. Whatever. But love yourself enough to do what you gotta do, always seeing your most immaculate person in front of you. I that's what I did. You're muted, Rex.
Sorry. Do you have any now or then rituals or habits of thought or practice that you engage in on a daily basis that help
Yeah.
you? Because I mean, some people go, "Well, that's great, but I just don't feel like it." And obviously,
Mhm.
you may not have felt like it, but you
Because a
pushed
lot of
through.
times I didn't feel like it, honey.
So, how did you do that? How did you maintain it?
I couldn't go by I didn't feel like it. And I want to encourage people to don't go by I don't feel like it. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to feel like it. You know why? Because it takes a lot. This world, it seems like in order for a person to be included, to be acknowledged, to be validated, that takes a heck of a whole lot because so many people are out here trying to get the same thing: inclusion, acceptance, validation. And then there's a lot of ego out in this world. You know, a lot of people with ego, you know, and all of this. They talk about having skin in the game and stickability and all of this. Okay, look, did I have rituals? Yeah, they started out really little rituals like, thank God I got this hot plate in this motel room and I'm making me this bacon and eggs. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to be grateful for this. My first ritual was gratitude, was being grateful. Grateful that I could wash my clothes at the laundromat across the street from the motel. Grateful that I had a paycheck that gave me money to have coin to wash my clothes. Grateful I could eat eggs and bacon. Grateful that I could still go to networking groups. My ritual, my first one was just gratitude. That was huge because although I lived through a lot of things from my childhood, now I'm an adult. My kids are grown and I done been through homelessness and everything, so I'm grateful. So my first ritual was gratitude. Because when you can put food in your belly, please be grateful for that because being hungry hurts. Your stomach hurts. It's bad. So if you can even have something to put in your mouth, you know, be grateful for that. Over time, my rituals became going for a walk and really paying attention to nature. I lived in the Northwest. So, you know, there was a lot of nature, a lot of trees, a lot of birds, a lot of rain, just a lot of, you can smell the air, the rain in the air. So I would go for walks. And during those walks, I would tell myself who I was deep down in my heart and why I had to get out of this. And I would remind myself that there's other people I want to be able to go back and help get out of things too. In the hood, we call it the trap, living in the trap, living in the hood, living in poverty. I wanted to be able to go back to the trap. But I want to say something in this. I wanted to be able to go back to the trap, and that's always my heart. That's everything. That's, you know, going back to find the brilliance that is there, that is an untapped market that is overlooked far too often. But I also learned through my times in public policy and in entrepreneur beginnings and stuff that even people from other socioeconomic classes, they often had a lot of the same insecurities, self-doubt, negative talk, you know, that I had about myself from being in poverty. So I began to realize that there were a lot of people for me to go back and get. Definitely people from poverty, but also people who were impoverished in the mind, who were wearing their Burberry scarves and, you know, the pushing their little key button on their Lexus, you know, and everything, and still not really believing in themselves, not even knowing how. So going for walks was a ritual. Then I brought in meditation. Then I brought in health. You know, health is real wealth. I know. Believe me, I know I've been sick. Bishop T.D. Jakes, he says, you don't appreciate health until you've been sick. Word. He's right. Because I know that. So meditation became a ritual. Paying attention to my health became a ritual. Reading books became a ritual. Rex, I got your book. You know I'll be reading it. Had to throw that in there. Those became rituals. Those became my companions. That became my empowerment.
Well, it's so impressive. Not only that, but what you said before about, you know, people can be impressed, imprisoned by a lifestyle, or they can be imprisoned or impoverished in their mindset. And I'm not sure that if they're imprisoned in their mindset, or I'm more sure that if they're imprisoned in their mindset, they're most likely also imprisoned in a lifestyle. You know, that they're not making it happen because they're not making it happen here. They're not making it happen anywhere. We have not commented on the comments and the quotes. I don't know if there were any real questions that were thrown up on the screen, but one of the comments was, understand that you listen to a lot of Les Brown. Is that correct?
Ah, yes, absolutely. Oh God. Oh my God. Do we even have time? Okay, I'm gonna do this really quick because I love Les. I love Les to no end. Okay. During my homeless time and even before then, I would go to the library because it didn't cost no money to go to the library. So you could be poor, you can go to the library. And I didn't know a lot back then about motivational speakers and self-help, this and that and the other. I would type in keywords in the community computers at the laptop, like living the life of your dreams, things like that. I would put in, and up pops Les Brown. And I started listening to him, because you could click on the computer and it would have little film, a little bit, moments of him talking. And I remember I wrote his name down and I went to the library people and I said, "Do you have books in here by Les Brown?" And they did. And I check out a book and I start reading them. And I was like, who is this man? How can he know so much? How can he feel like he feels? And then when I was homeless between 2015 and 2016 and on into 2017, I would go to the library again. And one day I was at the library looking up Les again, and I saw he was having a big old conference or something like that. And the tickets were like, well over $2,000. And I printed it off, it was in black and white, printed at the library. And I said, one day I want to be able to command like Les, no matter what my life is like right now. And one day I want to be in front of Les. And I want to say thank you for writing books, for telling me what a motivational speaker was, for letting me know that the dreams I had on the inside, they weren't too big, even if welfare said they was. And to think now, I just had a special card made for Les, as a matter of fact. Would you like to see it? Would you like to see the card? I can't hear you.
Absolutely.
Give me 1 second. It's just right here on top of my closet. Hang on.
Wow. How powerful is that, everybody, huh? Again, like, love, share, and we have a couple minutes left. You can ask questions or leave a comment, but like, love, share, subscribe, and be sure and go get Cosette's book.
Okay.
From
Here I come.
welfare.com.
Okay, here I come. Here I am. Let me get Les's card out of here. It should be in here. Where to put it?
And I want to thank the Los Angeles Tribune and Ava, who's back behind the scenes running the show here, and for everybody who's done all that they do to make this show possible. Thank you. And thank you for watching and viewing. And while Cosette is doing that, I'll tell you about my upcoming guest.
Yeah.
Next time is Dr. Bernie Siegel and his grandson, Charlie. We got Dr. Bernie Siegel, who's renowned in the field of attitude and wellness and health and healing. And so I'm looking forward to that. Remember, we record the live stream every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. After that, I've got Kimmy Robertson, who played Lucy on the series Twin Peaks. If you're a Twin Peaks fan, you're going to want to see that, or if you know a Twin Peaks fan, you're going to want to tell them about that. And on the 14th of July, I have an extra special guest who will still remain secret, but I will reveal it soon enough. And I am very eager to have this person on very soon. And I can't wait to share all my guests, like Cosette and everyone with you. Go back and you can watch past shows. My last show was with Don Most from Happy Days. He played Ralph in Happy Days. He's now traveling in Italy and having a good time. And I've had just incredible people. Brian Herskowitz, he's a writer, martial artist, jiu-jitsu and judo. John and Anna Mann, he wrote The Go-Getter. She's a psychologist. Alex Stern, Jim Stovall, and Michael Seibel. Jim wrote the book The Gift. Michael directed the movie. I mean, just so many wonderful guests. Maggie Avila and Michael Workington were my very first guests. It's just truly amazing. You know, Ori Sabato, Doria Cordova. I mean, the list goes on and on. Alex Flynn, who sadly passed away. Alex was a person with Parkinson's, and he had challenged himself by doing marathons, and he decided he was going to climb Mount Everest. So he was doing 3 peak practices, and on the second peak, he got to the top and was going down, going to the helicopter to go back down, and he had a fatal heart attack. And it was done to raise money for Parkinson's, and his life partner, his girlfriend, has continued to do that. I had her on as a guest as well. So many impressive guests, and like Cosette. Are you ready, Cosette? Hold on. Now you're muted. Hold on. We'll get you. There you are. You're back.
Okay, I found it. I had it put up. I hope you guys can see. I had it custom made for him. You see the L and the B?
Oh yeah, look at that. Wow. Hold on.
So I had it made for him, and I'm trying to find a way to get this card to him because I don't have his address. But that's the L, and that's the B for Les Brown. And the reason why he means so much to me now is because all the dreams that I have become. And I am a powerful, motivational, transformational speaker. I am an author. And I can command like him.
Oh, indeed.
And it was because I could go to the library and type in, live the life of your dreams. And this man popped up.
Wow.
He didn't know me. Didn't even know I was on the planet. But I knew him. Wow. And I appreciate him. Because a lot of his teachings, beyond you have greatness in you, beyond 2 pieces of sugar cane, beyond those things, to watch him speak. I want to say the story that I love so much is the mascara story. It used to have me cracking up when I would watch him on the computer. He was talking about how, he'd be trying to cover up his gray hair with mascara. And he said he was speaking at one place, and he hugged one of the ladies. She came on stage. She was, I guess, who helped plan it or whatever. And when she hugged him, she got a whole smear of black mascara on the side of her face. And so when they unlocked hugging, and she stepped back and he stepped back, he said he's seen all that mascara on her face. He said he didn't say nothing.
Smart man.
But whoever made the comment that they heard I love Les Brown, yes, I do. And one day I'm going to get this card.
You're going to get it to him sooner than you think. We're going to connect you up. We'll connect you up. We'll talk off when we're off air here. We'll figure out how you do that.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. No worries. No worries.
Thank you.
No, you bet.
Les Brown. I had this made for him.
You'll get it to him sooner than you think. So that's the least we could do. Cosette, you have been fabulous, and I'm so pleased and so proud to know you, and I'm so glad to be able to help you tell your story here, as well as get your fabulous book from the welfare to the White House.com out to people. And I hope that they will share the show. And I want to thank everybody who's left comments and made statements and who's watched this. Please go ahead and push the show out there. and spread the word. And yeah, you got to be connected with Les, so we'll take care of that for you. All right.
Is it okay if I do a quick shout out? Can I do that?
You absolutely.
I'm just going to say the people's names just because they come from a background.
Let me let you have the last word. So you take a minute or two or whatever it is, and you have.
I'm just going to say, I just want to give a shout out to Tashar. I want to give a shout out to my daughter Kayla. I want to give a shout out to my daughter Sharpay. I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend Ivana. I just want to let y'all know we are queens from the trap, and we are making change in this world. We are making change in this world. And Rex, I love you. Thank you so much. You know what? You have lifted my spirits today by having this wonderful time with you. And I just want to give that shout out. Because this is dreams coming true. This is believing and not giving up.
Well, that's so cool. And I can't tell you how pleased and excited I have been to have you here on the show. So thank you. And I'm proud to know you. And I look forward to, well, we're going to talk in just a moment. So you hang out and wait for me. And,
okay.
And then we'll talk. But in the meantime, just so CoCo has a video for Les too. Oh, all right. Well, again, we'll put you in touch. So meanwhile, wait for me, and I'll be right there. I'm going to close out the show, and we'll be back. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Rex.
No, you bet. Thank you. Wow, what a I didn't do that. My hands were up here. Wow, what a powerful show. I am so pleased to have Cosette Leary here today, and for her to share her story and her transformation and everything she's gone through, and with the hopes that it helps you. Now, you may not be in poverty, and you may not be in welfare, or perhaps you are or could be. There's still a way out, and there's still a path forward, and there's still a way for you to make the kind of changes you want in your life. And as Cosette mentioned, she saw Robin Leach and went, wow, so dream big, and then take the actions you need to take in order to do it. Reach out. That was the other thing. Remember, she said, she asked, she wrote letters, she actually did things. I mean, imagine that. I'm just so pleased to have had Cosette here on the show today. So with that in mind, I want to thank you for watching. I told you who my guests are, so please do help me spread the word, help me share the show. Next time, Bernie Siegel and his son Charlie. After that, Kimmy Robertson, and then a very special guest every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, and wherever you are in the world. Now, I got to tell you about my book, which is Life on Your Terms. They're going to put up the book in just a moment, and there's the website. When you get the book from Amazon, you go to Amazon, you purchase the book, you get the soft cover or the hard cover, you take the receipt code that you got from Amazon, and you go to that website right down there below. rexsikes.com/book. You put your receipt code in a special box there. You just follow instructions, and I will give you free, a bonus, access to a $497 training called the Mastery Loop, which is about mastering your emotions, mastering your thoughts, mastering your behaviors and your skills so that you can live life on your terms and create the life that you want. So go ahead, get the book, or if you have the book but you don't have the training, be sure you go and get the training, okay? And by the way, if you like the book, leave a review on Amazon and send me a picture of yourself with the book. So many people are doing that. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to be able to do that. So, because that set an example for us today. And what I always say in closing is, if you consider something a problem, it will be a problem. But if you consider something a blessing, it will be a blessing. So go ahead and celebrate everything. I'll see you the next time.